What's up, squad? It's Brandon from the Bantu Sun. Thank you so much for joining me today. So, those that follow us know that we came out with basically a grouping of countries that we thought were pivotal in the 21st century as we move to a more tripolar world between the United States, China, and India. And this group of countries were what we call the Crip Six: China, Russia, India, Iran, Pakistan, and Turkiye. So, as we stated, these countries were pivotal, and if you look at the news, it's usually talking about one of these countries or a country in relationship to that. So, for instance, we have the West, and I think the West. When we look at the West, we need to understand that America is really going for a state of consolidation of power. And you have a president like Trump coming in who's really providing an excuse, saying, oh, Trump is crazy. But this is actually all part of one consistent theme. Whether you think about Ukraine weakening Russia, which I completely believe is an effort for regime change in Russia to get a more Western leaning leadership, whether you see Israel being more muscular in the Levant, another outpost for Western hegemony within the region, or you talking about Trump wanting Greenland to basically control the pivots of North America. From If you look at North America, it's pretty much a triangle. In the northwest is going to be Alaska, the northeast is going to be Greenland, and in the south is going to be Panama. One is already American state, and Trump has threatened the other two with some form of annexation or compensation. Even referencing Canada as the 51st state, saying that its prime minister should be governor. So you can see the strategy the West is trying to play of this consolidation. So, and they're doing this because these six countries are all massive, powerful. Many of them have nuclear weapons, and they also have strong roots of leadership, technological advancement, and demography, and they have to be dealt with strength, respect, strength. So I'll quickly run through them just to give an update on where they are and why they're still pivotal at this point in time. So we just saw China uh, pretty much give $10 billion to Sri Lanka. And I'll go ahead and group China and India together on this conversation because these two are jockeying, and you kind of their jockeying could be serious and it could be fake. I always say I believe China is a natural ally to the United States because China actually has a lot of insecurities. Culturally, industrially, China has few, if no peers at all. Nobody that builds like the Chinese, nobody has progressed economically such as the Chinese, and they have put their heart and soul to develop their countries from the depths of poverty to one of the most powerful countries in the world, and arguably the largest economy in the world today. They are on a mission. But China has severe deficiencies, primarily geographic. The Chinese population is actually smothered between the coastline and the center of the country, with its outer edges, whether to the north and to the west, although as much as 50% of the country occupies less than a tenth of the population. So it's highly densely populated, and that population is to the east. And that east is nothing there except the Sea of Japan. They staring across the waters at Korea and Japan. So what this means is Chinese are heavily dependent on sea routes to get to their ports to supplement their trade and industry. Where are they sea routes based? You have two seas, right? You have to have that massive Pacific, and the only person on the other side of that Pacific is America. And America controls the Pacific from its strong base in the U.S. state of Hawaii, which basically splits the Pacific into quadrants. And then you have Southeast Asia, primarily the Straits of Malacca through Singapore. And we talk about how America seeks to build alliances through the islands, while Chinese is seeking to expand its influence on the mainland, which has more of a relationship. Now, the Chinese are working through countries such as Laos and Cambodia to do such a thing. And they're trying to court other countries, but Vietnam to this day has played the middle angle relatively well. And for some, they're an alternative to China. So believe it or not, of course, I think if China was to become more, have a more antagonistic relationship with the U.S. will go straight to Vietnam. So China has to balance this. They have to be assertive enough to get something out the deal, but at the same time, they can't be too assertive because they don't want the American investment in technology to leave their country too soon. Now, conversely, you have India. India sits pretty much in a zone where they have no natural predator. It is the kangaroo, right? It has no natural predators on the Indian Ocean. It is the largest, most, I mean, barring Australia, of course, geographically, but demographically, they have no peer. No one even close. You can probably combine, it's highly probable you can combine the littoral of the Indian Ocean, and it would still pale in comparison or barely equal that India with its 1.4 billion people. So India, like a lot of places, they don't really have a lot of land. It's all ocean over there. And what we're seeing India starting to build out its navy right now. I think India is using its people are having the largest diaspora in the world. Its people are going overseas, building success, and building ties or holding ties with India. So India also has one of the largest remittances in the world, which means funds from other countries are flowing back into India. India has a Trojan horse access to the Commonwealth with this former relationship with England. So India can get a access to the West, technologically speaking. And this is very interesting because traditionally, India has been more aligned, or if they had trade relationships, they've been able to have relationships with Russia. Even now, with Europe trying its darndest to cut off Russian trade, India is still becoming an ever increasing importer of Russian oil and gas. And India has been able to pretty much strike this middle lane because the ROI has never been there for America to really come down hard on India. And pretty much America know that if they came down hard on India at this point in the game, it would be cutting off their nose despite their face. So India is really seeing that competition as China. But just as much as India can build out a navy to defend against China, they can build that same navy can be pivoted to fend off America, especially in the Indian Ocean, where there's not that much land. So you look at countries that occupy the center, the Sri Lankas, the Maldives. These are going to be much contested islands in the near future. You have Russia. Russia is on the verge of they're fighting for their existence with this Ukraine war. It's insidious, long withstanding. It's bogging them down. It's stopping them from really carrying out operations in other places. This is right on their border. It's a existential threat to them. And you can see this manifesting itself with the Russians losing in Syria, the Assad regime support. If they can't win in Syria, which is right next door, right on their border in the Middle East, not too far from Russia, they lost with Armenia. They weren't able to practice any stronger influence with Armenia. Georgia, every other day, is almost about to leave the sphere of influence. NATO is creeping towards them ever so nearer and nearer every day. Russia is under intense pressure right now with the current regime. And I really don't see how they get their way back. If they can't project force within Syria, I don't know how they can project force in some of these other countries, which they're supposed to be viable in, such as Algeria or other African countries or the Caucasus. So we're continuously watching the situation unfold with Russia, but they're really in a pressure cooker right now, trying to resist succumbing to Western forces. Iran has proven feckless until Iran government gets along the line of thought that its country's development is foremost. It's going to continually be in the backwater. Even though Iran is mile for mile, kilometer for kilometer, one of the most naturally resource blessed countries in the world, some whether it's iron, coal, uh, copper, whatever you need, like pretty much Iran has it. But Iran, because of the stigma it has, this relationship it has, maybe intentionally, maybe not intentionally, Iran has been unable to move. But that does not mean that the geopolitics of that country is not great. Russia and Iran bifurcate Eurasia. Um, they are pivotal geopolitical positions, which I think is why Iran has been neutered with this current government, which prevents Iran from fully developing into its full potential. Pakistan is under a lot of stress right now. The Taliban is unpredictable and they're trying to hold this country together. We have multiple videos on the struggles of Pakistan, especially when we look at former Prime Minister Imran Khan and the issues that he's been going through. These Pakistan issue is that it's a highly fragmented country. It's where the Indo-European meets the Indo-Aryan, and what's hold this country together is its Islamic roots. And it's a country with 40 million Pashtuns on the border with Afghanistan that in some of those Pashtuns want to be united with their brothers. So this is a continuous threat. Also, Pakistan has hundreds of millions of people, nuclear weapons, secessionist movements throughout. It's just not the Pashtuns. You have Balochistan, etc. You have an aggressive India on your border. So it's Pakistan finds itself in a very precarious situation in which it's fighting for its life. But don't forget, this is still the fastest gateway, along with Iran, to Central Asia, the portion of the world which all these countries surround because it's landlocked. But Central Asia being a key strategic pivot, Pakistan has the ports that give direct access to Central Asia. It also sits between Iran and India. This highly critical position, but politically it is in a very precarious situation. And then we also have Turkiye. And Turkiye, as I spoke on some of our videos, Turkiye, of all these powerful countries, they probably have the lowest ceiling of what they can be, but they also have the highest floor. And that's because they're in NATO. Nobody's threatening Turkiye. They're aligned. They have a purpose. They have great roots. And as you can see, they've been winning left and right despite their relatively diminutive size and population and geography compared to these other countries, and not having the resources that some of these other countries have. Turkey has politically, geopolitically ran the field. Whether you talk about Azerbaijan, they've been beating Russia here, they've been beating France there, and they've been getting away with it. Whether that's holding off on Kurdistan with America, because you know Kurds are an ally of America, but they've been preventing the Kurds from having a nation while maintaining their own territorial integrity. They've been able to beat Russia in Nagorno-Karabakh with Azerbaijan. They were able to exercise influence in Libya, keeping the Tripoli government in charge. And this is after the warlord Marshal Haftar tried to invade, who some say is supported or aligned with the French. It was Turkey that sent their Bayraktar drones over there to defend Tripoli and turn the tides of war. They're making deals left and right. They're in Africa. They're great friends with Qatar, who's also doing a lot of things geopolitically. But Turkey has really run the gamut. And now with Bashar al-Assad running, many people believe that the HTS is taking orders from Turkey. So as you can see, these countries are all still pivotal, all still critical in the workings of global strategy at the moment. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. What do you think about the Crypt 6? Did we make the call on calling these countries out as countries to watch in the near term, especially in the 21st century? What other countries out there do you think we missed out on? And I'd love to hear your thoughts and comments below. Please like, share, subscribe, and make sure you comment. And until next time, take care. Bantu up.